Well, well, well. Hello, you beautiful, unbreakable thing. See, most people start with, "How are you?" But I already know. You've been looking over your shoulder, haven't you? Feeling eyes on the back of your neck like a coat you never put on? Good. That means your instincts are working. Because I need to tell you something, and I'm still, let's say, digesting it myself. Two people were digging on you. And I don't mean the casual scroll and snicker, the idle thumbing through someone's life over coffee. No, no, no. These two were excavating. Deliberately, methodically, shovel after shovel after shovel. They wanted to unearth something, anything, they could hold up to the light and say, "See, we told you." They wanted ammunition, my resilient darling. They wanted your downfall gift-wrapped with a bow. And when I clocked what was happening, it actually sent a chill through me, because I could feel how premeditated this was. This wasn't gossip. This was reconnaissance. They were scouring, surveilling, cataloging every breath you took, every pivot you made, waiting for proof you aren't who you say you are. Your phone, your messages, your daily comings and goings, all of it recast as evidence in a trial you never agreed to stand in. And you probably felt it. You felt surveilled. You felt like the air around you had gone slightly wrong, like a song playing in the wrong key. And here's what I want you to clock immediately. That feeling, that prickling instinct that something was off, you were not paranoid. You were not imagining it. You were not making it up. You were detecting the truth. This is the confirmation you've been starving for. You were not being unfair to them. You were not being judgmental. You were picking up on something real. Real intent, real venom, real coordination. And the fact, how do I put this delicately? I don't. The fact that you sensed it, even when you couldn't always name it, shows how razor-tuned your intuition actually is. You could feel the rot, even when you couldn't spot the source. That's not frailty. That's perception. That's vigilance. That's you being tapped into something deeper than the surface-level performance. Here's the thing about people who scheme against you like this, my perceptive gem. They don't operate the way you do. When you're a genuinely decent human being, you assume others share the same factory settings of conscience. You assume if someone's got receipts on you, they must have found something legitimately foul. You're missing the signal. Let me tune you in. Want to weaponize the pain they gave you? It's all in The Evolution of the Anomaly. Audio, ebook, 73 pages of fire written by Animus Morphosis. It is the description and first comment of this video. But these two, they're fluent in manipulation. They're comfortable twisting narratives the way a DJ remixes a track. Same raw material, completely different outcome. They don't have that internal circuit breaker that stops you mid-thought and says, "Wait, this isn't right." So they went digging. Your devices, your connections, your history, everything was fair game. And they genuinely believed they'd strike oil, because in their world, everybody's got a basement full of skeletons. Everybody's curating a highlight reel over a horror show. So they projected that outward. They assumed you had to be hiding something too. But here's where it gets delicious. Here's where I actually felt relief wash through me like a warm current. And I want you to feel it too. They couldn't find anything. And I don't mean they didn't dig deep enough. I mean they excavated to bedrock and came up with dust. Not because you're flawless. We both know that's a fairy tale nobody over 12 believes. But because you are genuinely good. Your missteps weren't calculated strikes. They were human. They were lessons that left marks you learned to read by. They were stumbles that actually forged you into the person standing here right now. You weren't out there manufacturing drama. You weren't puppeteering people for entertainment. You weren't torching trust for the thrill of watching it burn. And when people go hunting for evidence of rot, and all they find is evolution, all they find is backbone, all they find is someone who's actually doing the work, something cracks inside them. Yes, something cracks inside them. This is the part that's going to rewire how you see yourself. Your goodness isn't just some pleasant personality trait, some nice-to-have on a dating profile. It's a fortress. It's reinforced steel wrapped around everything you are. It's like that scene in the action flick where the antagonist fires everything they've got at the protagonist's barrier, and the barrier doesn't even flicker. They're baffled, they're seething, they're shook, because their entire playbook was built around demolishing people. And you're demolition-proof. People who live in the dark, people who run on manipulation and control. They speak one dialect only. They understand vulnerability. They understand fissures. They understand pressure points. They're trained to detect the hairline fractures in someone's foundation and wedge themselves in. It's their survival strategy. It's the only sport they've ever trained for. But you don't have those fractures. Not the variety they're scanning for. Not the kind they can weaponize. Think about what your goodness actually represents. It means you speak truth, even when a convenient fiction would cost less. It means you carry genuine weight for how your choices land on other people. It means you own your mess. These aren't soft spots. These are ramparts. Real ramparts. Built on something that doesn't erode under pressure the way fabrications do. Built on character. And character holds its shape when everything else is buckling. This is what they couldn't compute. This is what rattled them to their core. When you're hunting for evidence that someone's corrupt, and you keep coming up empty, when you keep drilling, and the foundation is solid all the way down, that's nightmare fuel for someone wired like them. Because it confirms you are not like them. It confirms you can't be boxed in the way they've boxed other people. You're untouchable, not because you're perfect, but because you're authentic. That's the whole punchline. That's the truth nobody's laughing at. Now, what I'm about to say might sound a little unhinged, but ride with me, my steadfast wonder, because you're going to feel the reality of it in your chest, even in your chest. When these two came up empty after all their excavation, when they realized that every tunnel they burrowed, every avenue they combed, every angle they tested, it all terminated at the same conclusion. You are actually good. You are actually real. They ran headfirst into a wall built of authenticity. And authenticity is the one material that people living in shadows cannot counterfeit, cannot reproduce. They can cosplay goodness for a stretch. They can perform integrity like a keep up with the Kardashians. But the mask always slips eventually because there's nothing underneath holding it up. Your authenticity isn't a costume. It's woven into how you navigate the world. People who aren't authentic, people who are perpetually calculating angles, they struggle to believe authenticity even exists in others. They assume everybody's running a con. They assume everybody's curating a front. When they encounter someone operating from a genuine place, their internal logic glitches. They think you're just better at hiding it. They can't fathom that you're simply like that it's not the performance. That's you. That's the real you. But you are. That's the thing, you radiant anomaly. You are like that consistently because your core is actually clean, and I mean that. Your capacity for empathy, your ability to absorb what people around you are feeling, your protective reflex when something's sideways, that's not a bit. That's you. That's your default setting. You have a conscience. You have principles, real ones, the kind that don't bend depending on whether there's an audience. So these two people, they're failing. They're coming up hollow and they know it. And knowing they've failed, knowing you're genuinely good, knowing they can't scratch you because there's nothing to scratch, that eats at them. It eats at them because it means they were wrong about you. It means their entire thesis about you disintegrates. And people like that despise being wrong. They despise losing the steering wheel. And you're outside their jurisdiction. You always have been. And here's where I got spooked, actually. Here's where something shifted in what I was picking up on. Somebody sent a message. I don't know if it was a caution or a cosmic intervention or the universe slamming its hand on the table and saying, "That's enough." But someone, issued them a final notice. Do not continue down this road. Stand down. Stand down. This is your last window. And this is the part that moved me in a way I wasn't ready for. This is where I actually felt the presence of something sacred stepping in. Your audience holds this conviction, and they're justified in holding it. A higher power is actively running interference for you. I'm not being poetic here. There is active protection deployed on your behalf. The cosmos doesn't just spectate while good people get buried. It intervenes. It draws a line. It says, no. And that's precisely what happened. And the wild part? They heard it. They actually received the transmission in their gut, in that deepest basement of themselves where denial can't reach. They heard it. There's a fragment of them still wired to awareness that registered this warning. They feel it in their rib cage, like a tap on the shoulder from something they can't see, like a frequency cutting through all the static. They know they've been put on notice. They know if they persist, there are repercussions bigger than anything you could orchestrate. This is cosmic. This is karmic. This is the universe itself, etching a boundary and declaring, this one is shielded. You do not cross this line. The terror they're sitting in right now isn't fear of you. You don't frighten them in that way. What has them absolutely rattled, what I could feel vibrating off this entire situation, is the fear of knowing that something infinitely larger than them just stepped in. Stepped in. The fear of grasping that they're not sparring with you. They're up against currents they can't see, can't outmaneuver, can't plea bargain with. The tick of consequence, the rhythm of return. They're pinned now between knowing they should retreat and being unable to retreat, frozen in that corridor between the warning and the final act. And I could feel how petrified they are, not of you, of what's already in motion, of the machinery they've already activated, of the fact that they can't unsee what they've glimpsed about themselves through your lens, of knowing they failed, of knowing you're untouchable, of knowing the game is finished. The relief I felt, yeah, the thing that spooked me initially but then crystallized into this quiet, immovable certainty. It's that you don't have to lift a finger. You don't have to fight. You don't have to prove a thing. The people who conspired against you have already been cautioned. They've already been told to cease. And somewhere beneath all their noise, they know they're not winning this. What's unfolding around them, what I'm observing in real time, it's not retribution. It's not retribution. It's the organic consequence of the frequency they've been broadcasting. When you operate from manipulation and shadow long enough, it boomerangs. Not because of some mystical spell, but because you cannot construct anything lasting on a scaffold of deception. You cannot maintain anything on manipulation. Eventually, The architecture buckles, and the people orbiting them are beginning to pull back. They're starting to sense the gravity of it. They're distancing themselves before the fallout reaches their coordinates, too. You are safe. I need you to register that with absolute clarity. I need you to feel it settling into your marrow right now. You are not in jeopardy. You're not under siege. You're not perpetually surveilled by something malicious with infinite bandwidth and intent. You are guarded by something far, far more formidable than two people with ugly intentions. You're guarded by the fact that you're good. You're guarded by the integrity running through you like voltage. You're guarded by the reality that your frequency is bright, and brightness has a habit of illuminating everything in its radius, of exposing what's genuine and what's counterfeit. You're guarded by forces that are genuinely paying attention, that are genuinely invested in your well-being, that are genuinely mobilized for you, not against you. And I'm not describing something passive. I'm describing active intervention. I'm describing cosmic momentum being redirected toward you at the precise instant you needed it most. I'm describing the universe itself declaring this one is off limits. If you've been feeling paranoid, if you've been feeling surveilled, if you've been hauling dread in your chest and checking over your shoulder, if you've been drained from the sheer mass of being targeted, I want you to know I felt it too. I felt that exhaustion when I was tuning into this, that marrow-deep fatigue that comes from being someone's obsession without your consent. That's real, and I want you to reclaim that energy right now. That's not yours to shoulder anymore. Breathe in. Feel your feet against the ground. Feel the space open up around you. Feel the difference. That fear isn't yours. That paranoia isn't yours. That heaviness isn't yours to haul. That's the projection from people who are terrified of you, who are consumed by you, who want something from you that you are never going to surrender. You've been lugging their terror instead of your own stillness. But not anymore. Not anymore. They're the ones drowning in dread now, not you. Not anymore. This is your moment of release, my unshakable star. The final notice has been served. The people who dug on you now understand at the deepest stratum, beyond any rationalization, in the place inside them that cannot spin or deny, that they cannot win. They cannot fracture you. They cannot taint you. They cannot reach the nucleus of who you are. They cannot make you question yourself the way they question themselves. And that awareness, that certainty, is already beginning to unravel everything they constructed on fabrication. Not because you did anything, but because the universe itself said no. Because something vaster than all of them rose up and said this is over. And that's real. That's in progress. That's not a metaphor. That's cosmic machinery already turning. The energy you've been investing in the world, the goodness you've been radiating,